Boro was a young man from Kayama but born in Igali who struggled through hard work, gained after the police. While he was in the police, was admitted also to the university to study chemistry. And while he was a student in Nsukka, he was a radical student leader, became president of the student, the first non-Igbo to become president of student in Nsukka. And but his heart was for the bleeding Niger Delta. Oil industry had just started. Then Boro started to see the environmental damage that oil would cause. It was from 1958 to 1967 when he did his revolution. Was 9 years. He had already seen into what will happen in 60 years, in 9 years' time. He said in his write-up, that 12-day revolution, that oil was dirty. It was polluting the whole area, stopping our farmers from going to work, stopping our mothers from going to farm, stopping our fishermen from going to fish. So he was already angry. And he said, no. What the main camel that break is, the straw that break the camel's back was the fact that there was a prime minister, Tafawa Balewa, who was seemingly sympathetic. But in those days, this original politics, we were under the Igbos. In the north, some minorities were under the Hausa Fulani. In the west, the minorities, particularly those in today's Delta and those states, who were in the western region, minorities were under the Yorubas. So the minorities were advocating for their rights. They were not happy with these three big majority tribes. So in our own case, Boro was not happy with the Igbos and therefore ran to the federal government for succor. So when in 1966, 29 January, 15 January, this military coup, Zogu coup, took place, and the man whom he believed in as prime minister of this country that would save our people was assassinated. It was like hopelessness. Well, there's nothing for us in this country. Let us take arms. That is how they took up arms against the federal government. So a few days after the attempted the coup, successful coup, they now did their own revolution. So even long before Biafra came one year later, in 1967. But in the same 1956, in February, they already came up to ask for an independent Niger Delta Republic. Yes.
Thank you, sir. Okay. History have it that Boro was the first man who started secession in this country.
Yes, and that's the truth.
And then after fighting for Niger Delta Republic, and he could not get it after 12 days, we want to know what was the shift from Boro fighting for Niger Delta Republic and then now joining the military.
Well, you know, in the military tactics, sometimes you have to withdraw tactically. He was sentenced to death. Boro did not kill one person, but the man who never killed any man was sentenced to death. And himself and those with him by one Justice Philip Bosie in the High Court, sentenced to death, but then they were kept in the Kirikiri prison in Lagos. While they were in the prison, the counter-military coup organized by the loyal northern officers, led by later General Murtala Muhammad, Babangida and all those on that, but Murtala Muhammad was the main leader. They came, did a counter coup, and overthrew the Iransi-led government. And when they led the Iransi-led government, they installed General Yakubu Gowon as president. So Yakubu Gowon took good advice from elders. He said, look, these minorities in the east, minorities in the west, minorities in the north, particularly those in the east where the oil fields were, because both Biafra and Nigeria, whoever had access to the oil and can sell and buy weapons, would have won the war. He said, look, these eastern minorities always have been trying to free from the Igbos. If you give them their freedom, not as a political entity outside Nigeria, but as a subset of Nigeria, call it a state, don't call it region, they will never forget you. They will fight for you. So he created a river state for us. And then when he created a river state for us, he dangled a kite before Boro and Co. And Boro and Co themselves asked themselves, look, what we were fighting for was autonomy, freedom from the shackle hold of the Igbos. Now we have our own state. Do we still need to be revolutionaries? Let us go and join to build River State. But you can't build River State because River State was occupied by Biafra at the time. So they now joined the army to flush Biafra out of River State, primarily. And that's the interesting part about why I said the rebel that became this shining the armor on a horseback. Because Boro was able to, a rebel now became the, in that himself and 130 boys who followed him, all of them died. Only one or two were left alive. Less than 5 were alive at the end of the war. And all of them were young men in their 20s. Oh, many of them students. Like I said, not Bodman, Yanayo, Bodman, Yanayo, and Captain Amangala were graduates already, university graduates, lecturing, comfortable job, fine young men if you see them. They enlisted. They know. And Boro tried because it was Boro that flushed out the Biafrans from Boni. Boni was critical. It was only terminal, export terminal. And because then the one condition Boro gave the army was that allow me to recruit my boys who understand the terrain. They allowed him. So they flushed him out, the Biafrans. They liberated Boni, and Boro was on his way to come and liberate Port Harcourt. One gunshot killed him. Mystery may never be known who killed him.
Okay, sir.
There's so many theories.
Sorry, sir. Looking at the contributions of Boro to the Nigerian unity that we enjoy today, do you think the Nigerian state is celebrating falling euro?
Advocacy. It's not always to complain. You have to keep fighting. They may not honor him today. Martin Luther King, all the black heroes of black struggle were not recognized at the time. They were seen as rebels. They were seen as this. But many, many years today, America has a Martin Luther holiday. Same holiday that they give to George Washington or the founding father. He has his own holiday. So we, the Ijaw Nation, have to, I tell our people, tactics have to change. We have to learn how to negotiate. What belongs to you, if it's another person's hand, if you use gara, sometimes they will not give you. But if you know how to negotiate, so you can take it out from his hand. So we have to keep talking to the Nigerian nation. Some people say, you are too conservative. What have you achieved by not being conservative? You have to look for a strategy. Look at Abiola, June 12. It's a long time ago. But the family kept talking to people, honor our father, until Buhari now came and officially. So Abiola's picture is now picture among people that rule the country. And gave him GCFR, the honor that left only for presidents. This is GCON. He gave one of GCFR and gave King Ibe his deputy GCON, which is same as all vice presidents. So, but it was not achieved in one day. So we have to keep advocating for it, lobbying for it, and following up.
Thank you, sir. Okay, let's come on.
We must round up now.